So we're back in the office like we never left. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're here in the headquarters of Survivor Pathway. We're here with Francesco. Thank you so much for inviting us.
No, thank you for being here. It's such an honor, and definitely it is great for me, for my team, to have you guys doing this beautiful interview here at our nice, beautiful facility.
At the headquarters, because you do have a second.
Yeah, we have Hialeah, and in July we will be opening Homestead. So this is our main quarters.
The main quarters.
Mhm.
Okay. The main quarters. Okay, so I have a few questions that they want us to ask you, our views, or the people that follow us. They wanted to know what's your personal experience or value to inspire you to create Survivor Pathway in 2010.
Well, actually, it was launched in 2010, but the idea and the work started the year before. Um, okay, it, I think there's many things. Like my experience as a gay man, right? Growing up in a family that was very supportive, but kind of showed me how to respect others people's belief, how to understand many issues that comes along being different. Let's put it that way, right?
Mhm.
And that shaped the way I understood justice and I understood society. But at the same time, with so many years working on this, I deep believer that God uh, kind of places in situations and in places with a special mission. And believe me that when I think about how is that I created this and how this become what it is today, I don't have other explanation but the power of God, right? I think that God put me into this and kind of helped me to gather all those experiences that I have in my personal life and working with victims of crimes. Like when I was in Europe many years ago, I worked for a project with sex workers, and in that time, the concept of human trafficking doesn't even exist. And then and I was just a very young boy doing kind of interviews and things like that. And I listened to the experiences of those women immigrants in Europe uh, going through horrible things, right? And that all that, right, kind of start shaping the way I understood society and especially justice and especially the right that every single human being have, no matter who you are and no matter what you think, to have access to a good quality of life, to justice, to a good environment, right? It's all those rights that I think it should be inherent to us as human beings, as human rights, right?
Right.
Yeah, the right to be happy, the right to live in a nice community, the right to wealth,
Mm-hmm.
to health, to
Right.
justice. Basic principles that sometimes we just forgot, right? That
Right.
it seems like we know it's a given to us,
Mm-hmm.
but we forgot,
Right.
and then they're denied to us. And there's always explanations, right? Depending on the views that you have and your beliefs. People say, well, these people shouldn't have the right to this because this. But at the end, we forgot that we're human beings
Mm-hmm.
and that we have rights. It's principles, I mean, basic rights, right?
Right.
Like health, justice, and the right to be happy. And that happiness, at least in my way of seeing it, right? It's not happiness of going to a club and party,
Right.
but,
Right.
but it's that more deep concept of of wellness and plenitude as human beings.
From that experience, that's how you opened Survivor Pathway.
Yeah, well, there's many other things, and obviously living in Miami and understanding and loving Miami, right? Because to have this, you have to love the city, and I love my
Right.
city. I love Miami, and seeing the gaps in the issues, and definitely I saw a gap, right,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the challenges that vulnerable communities have into accessing justice, and it's a challenge, especially when you're an immigrant. You have to document, or you're a woman, or you're from the LGBT community.
Mhm.
Like there's so many factors that comes around and becomes gaps and challenges and barriers to access justice. And I've been very concerned about that, right? And the access to justice and reducing impunity, because impunity is like a cancer in our society.
Right.
So yeah, that was the way.
How how was your organization involved over these 14 years, especially in its focus as a LGBTQI community and survivors of violence?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think we have done pretty well is identifying.
I think so too.
Yeah, identifying how the LGBT community as a vulnerable community has been invisible, right? And how invisibility, which is a very strong concept, invisibility has led this community basically without access to justice, right?
Mhm.
And then people might say, well, but justice is there,
Right.
but it's not that easy, right? It's not that easy. It's not, and that's what I'm saying when we talk about rights, right? The right to access justice, because it's not just that the justice is there, right?
Mhm.
It's identify the barriers and the challenges that specific communities have to access that justice,
Mhm.
and also to reflect about the fact that maybe that concept of justice that we had might not be fit to the needs of the specific communities, and that's what we identified, right? That we were not present in the system. And a simple example, right? Because you might think, okay, how is it? Right? Simple example. If I'm gay and I've been assaulted, and let's say sexually assaulted, or easy human trafficking, whatever, and you call the police, and they arrive to the scene. When they write the police report,
Mhm.
there's no way for us to know that that person that was assaulted is gay, because we're not there. There's
Mhm.
no way unless the person attending the crime, right?
Mhm.
The officer is gonna go ahead and ask, which is it's not gonna happen.
Mhm.
And then someone watching your program would say, that doesn't care. What cares that the police get there, right?
Right.
And it seems logical, but it is not.
Mhm.
Because the way the system works is that we need statistics, right? Because through statistics, we determine the issue, the magnitude of the issue, the factors attached to the issue, but more than that, and more important than that, is that funding comes down through statistics. Because the funding that comes from the government or any type of funding, it is tailor made based on the numbers that are shown after researching or analyzing a specific issue, right?
Mhm.
What do I mean by that? If I go, let's say, to a politician, a senator, or someone that has funding, and say, there's issues of hate crimes within the LGBT community in Miami, and they're gonna go, oh, okay, show me evidence.
Mhm.
What evidence I'm gonna have?
Mhm.
None.
Mhm.
Why I don't have any evidence? Because there's no way to collect that data, because that officer that arrived to that scene did not have the tools to collect that information, and that's what I call invisibility.
Okay.
Because then at the end, you do not exist. You're invisible, because that part of you
Mhm.
that you see how complex it is,
Mhm.
it will never be in place. You will be just another number add to the big packet of crimes. And like this example, there's many others, right?
Mhm.
In many areas of our justice system. And then for many years, we've been reflecting and we've been talking about this. Um, but I guess that what we have been able to succeed is to create this place as a heaven for them.
Mhm.
So that if you are a victim of a crime and then you're afraid to call the police or you're afraid to move forward, then you can come here and we help you. Right?
Because safe place here.
Because it's a safe place, and because we host such an amazing relationship with the police departments and the state attorney's office and the court, that we have become that bridge among the community and the system. We're like interpreters of the law.
Okay.
In many ways, right? Because if you don't know, like, and it happens not only with the LGBT community, in reality, we serve hundreds and thousands of women. 85%, listen to this number, No, now it went up. 89%. 89% of the people we serve, the victims, are women. And that says a lot about Miami.
It does.
It says a lot about Miami. When we serving 89% of our victims are women. But women that are immigrant, women of color, women that do not feel entitled or strong enough to follow that path of looking for justice, right? And then they come here. And then what we do is that we serve as interpreters between the community and the system, right? Because it makes it easier.
Right.
And I think this is a great success because the main goal is to allow people to trust the system, to believe in our justice system, and to, at the end, achieve justice. That's all we want. That justice can be served to every single person, no matter who you are and no matter what. Because it's in our Constitution. And I always said it says justice for all. And you have to go and you have to abide by it. You cannot go over it. Right? And that's what we do.
Do you have support from commissioners, the mayor, and the sheriff at this moment? Or
No,
is it very difficult?
We have emotional support.
Oh. Okay.
You know, I mean, it's always good. I hope we host good relationship with the local politicians. They're very nice, very good people, and we're okay with them.
So if you have a case right now and they don't want to call the police, if you get a phone call right now that there's an emergency going on, what do you do? Like, do you call the sheriff department to go with you guys? The police
we evaluate and we assist this victim that is going through a critical moment to move forward and to work with the police or with the state attorney's office, right? We work with them. That's what I said. We're like brothers and sisters with all police departments and the state attorney's office and the court and FBI and everything, right? Because we do believe in them. We do throughout the thing, and I deeply believe that they do an amazing work. It's just how we create and ease the barriers that might exist that stop the system and the communities to achieve justice, to prosecute those that commit crimes. And yes, we have those calls. Human trafficking is the great example. We have been able to put in jail, along with the police departments and the FBI, perpetrators of this crime because the victim came here first and told us the story first. And we collaborate into creating the whole environment and system so that the justice will be served to this kid that was being trafficked, sexually exploited. So that's a beautiful example of what we do, right? And it's the same for women that are victims of domestic violence, that they feel terrified, right? And they talk to us, and we create this safe space and the safe way, the pathway for them to heal and to achieve justice and to put in jail, or at least to prosecute that man that is abusing that woman, along with the system. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How do you measure the success of your work, especially in sensitive cases like supporting trauma and survivors?
Look, numbers talks by itself. I am very proud of the amount of money that we have been able to collect, to gather, and to invest in our communities, because it's all about investment. I do believe that we need to invest money in our communities, right?
I do too.
Yeah, it's the only way. It's the only way that we're going to have a fair and free and organized society. You need to invest. And I understand, right, that America is the richest country in the world, that this is capitalism. I love capitalism. I believe in it. But I think that wealth has to trickle down to people, but in a smart and a strategic way, right? It's not just throwing money for the sake of throwing money. It's investing. That's what I love, that word, right? Investing. And we have invested money in our communities, but in a very specific goal, which is creating a system of integrated care that allows victims of crimes to access justice, but at the same time to access services that will improve the quality of life and will guarantee that they won't be victims again, right? And then that's been a great success. I mean, I opened Survivors Pathway with nothing, and today we're investing millions of dollars in our community, right? And that's a great investment. And the other thing is We are one of the unique organizations in the state of Florida doing this, and we have seen thousands because we do not serve hundreds, thousands, thousands of victims, and the stories of success and our numbers shows that we have been able, in a great percentage, to serve these individuals, to allow these individuals in the pathway of healing and justice. So that means that our money and the money that has been put on us, because people trust us, the government trusts us, and the people trust us, has been well invested. And that I hope, and I hope, and that's my deep hope, because I do believe in God, and I think God put me in this mission. And I think that we have been able to make of Miami-Dade County a better city, safer city, and it's safer because we have been able to reduce crime and reduce impunity. And not because we were the police, but in our work, right? And talking about these, like things like this type of conversations, right? Make a huge impact in people's lives.
It does.
You don't know who's listening.
You made an impact on us when we went to an event with Guardians of the Human Rights. We went, we sat down, and when we started hearing your stories, I'm like, wait, I was very sad that I didn't hear you guys before. So I feel like the county should talk more about you guys, your organizations, because I feel like a lot of people don't know about these organizations, and I think it's very important. It should be spread out everywhere. And every board meeting we go, they should always say, or have someone there from your organization giving postcards or flyers talking about your organization, because I feel that sometimes the money in Miami-Dade is spent on the wrong things. And I think there is an increasement of trafficking in Miami. What I've done my research, there is a high increasement of violence of women, especially women that are coming from other countries that you told me. They're coming here thinking it's a freedom country, and they're actually in the nightmare because they're from Cuba, Venezuela, they're prostitutes, and they're coming back over here and thinking they have to do the same thing. So I'm glad that you guys are speaking up more. I'm glad there's more events you guys talking about, because I didn't know that you guys even help them to go to school. If they come with credits from being a doctor in Cuba and they come with the college stuff, you guys can walk them in the right way and removing them from this horrible thing that's going on in our city. I have a question. With the funds, with Trump freezing the funds, is that affecting your organization in any way?
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, and I hope it won't. I hope it won't, because I understand the political narratives that are taking place now, and I think it's great that you're doing these programs, because sometimes people have that mistaken belief that we are an LGBT organization,
right?
And we're not. We're not. We do believe in that every single human being and every citizen of this beautiful country has the right to justice, right? It's our right as a human being, and even more as an American citizen. So it is not about Survivor's Pathway being an LGBT, because we're not LGBT. And people got confused, right? Because I'm gay, right? And then people say, wait a minute, this guy is gay, therefore his organization is gay. No, right. That's a huge mistake. We serve everyone, we serve thousands, and that's what I'm saying. The numbers talk by itself.
Right.
Out of the 5,000 people we serve every year, 89% are women. So if someone wants to think about Survivor's Pathway as something, they should think about Survivor's Pathway as a center for women, right? And I don't even go that way, because at the end we're open to men, females, LGBT, to everything, immigrants, black, white people. It's not that we're restricting ourselves in terms of communities. So defunding Survivor's Pathway would be a horrible mistake, right? Because we're serving thousands of people. Our service, it's a basic service, right? What we're doing, going places, talking about justice, saving lives. I mean, you cannot imagine the stories of people that tell us.
That's my next question. Is there any story that has affected you? Has there any story that left you like heartbroken, or a success story? Have you ever?
We have every type of story, but listen, sometimes we have gotten stories of people that says, because I listen what you talk in this program or in this Instagram, whatever, you saved my life. Because my husband was going to kill me, and I understood the danger I was at by listening, and I made the decision. That's huge.
It is.
It is huge. When you go to a place, or like listen, the other day we were in Homestead in a community fair, and it's very quiet. Women came to our table, and we explained a basic thing that sounds basic to us, right? Like the VAWA self-petition. She was being abused by an American guy, her husband, heavily abused, and she was afraid of leaving the perpetrator because she thought that she could have been deported. And the guy was threatening her, right? That she called the police, she moved forward, do something. He would call the police, he would call the police, he would make her deported. And then we explained the VAWA self-petition, right? And we say, no, we help you, we give you an attorney, we're gonna help you with everything you need. She was crying, crying like nonstop. Like in that moment, she felt like, and she was like, "How is that I never knew about you guys?" Right? So that's the way we achieve and change lives, and we have horrible stories, right, of women that have been murdered. That's the other side, right? That's the dark side. That unfortunately people do not understand that domestic violence is not just a simple issue. That is a matter of death and life. The lethality associated with domestic violence is scary, right? The number of women that are killed every year in Miami-Dade County, it's unbearable. It's disgusting.
It is.
Right?
It is.
That in our beautiful city we have so many women killed. So we had those cases, right? That unfortunately. The person, it was too late, and the woman was killed. And we don't want that, right? That's why we continue fighting, because we don't want that. We don't want our people being killed. And I guess those are the sad and the good, right? Because hundreds of stories. I mean, sometimes I'm walking in I don't know, Walmart, whatever, Publix, and someone just go and hug me and says, because of you now I'm an American citizen. And I was like, yeah, I was at survivor's pathway, and you guys, I was a victim, and you guys helped me with this and this and that, and then I got
Survivor pathway is not only about violence and trafficking. It also helps people with sexual diseases.
Yeah, no, what we have done, and that's what I was addressing at the beginning, is that we have a system of care that integrates, right, the different social determinants. This is what we have done that it makes us very unique, right? We have been able to connect and to explain and to bring to the light the fact that crime is not just an issue that comes along. You know what I'm saying? When you analyze a social issue, sometimes we break things in pieces to collect information and data, right? So that the data that is collected, it's very partialized, let's say, right? Because if you talk about, let's say, domestic violence as an issue, right? But we have done is to talk about the fact that a social issue like crime comes along and bring with it other social issues, right? And healthcare and health is a big one we talk about crime. So that's why if you're a politician and if you're in charge of a community, you should think broader, right? And you should understand that issues in society are not working by itself, right? You cannot exclude our complexities as society, as human beings. So when you talk about, let's say, domestic violence, what we're seeing, right? You need to also see the connection between domestic violence and human trafficking. And then you go from human trafficking to HIV, and people minds are blowing, like, what? Right? Like, what? And yeah, what is the reality we're living in? Because the thing is, Miami-Dade County is the #1 city in the nation, in the whole American Union, with the highest numbers and new infections of HIV. And when you have that number in your hands, you have to think what's going on, right? What's going on? But then a place like Survivors Pathway says, wait a minute, if we have a center for victims, we need to integrate healthcare because we need to know what's going on with these victims in terms of health. Because when you are a victim, things happen to you in healthcare as well, right? You cannot break in pieces.
Right, right.
And then, not surprised enough, because we were expecting it, but this was worse than we were expecting it. Because what we're seeing is a trend that there's a correlation, right? A correlation between domestic violence, sexual abuse, human trafficking, and the high incidence of HIV.
They're saying it's women that has the highest risk right now.
Yeah, now are women. So we're seeing that women victims of domestic violence infected with HIV, infected with syphilis. In 1 month, we have 79 cases of syphilis.
Wow.
So there's a pandemic of syphilis in Miami-Dade County. So when you have HIV and syphilis devastating the communities, you have to think what's going on in Miami, right? And you know what's going on? You have human trafficking, and human trafficking is attached with sex work.
When you bring these records, these reports to the county.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
Why?
I'm not being invited. I don't think they're interested. So
that's very sad that you said that.
Right? So and at the end, you know, here in a little castle, we continue fighting by ourselves. Right? And this is good. I mean, we bring the information, we deliver the information. The health department has this information. I mean, I don't need to go to the county. The county have it because the health department is the one that trickles down that information to us, right? What we see, because what we see at Survivors Pathway is the reality of what that number says, right? Like the government says, Miami is the number one. We see it. You see the difference?
Yeah, yeah.
Because they have the numbers, we have the people. So we are seeing the people. We are seeing the reality. We are seeing the women coming out positive for HIV, which is devastating. You know, you have this guy who beat you up, who rape you, humiliate you, make your life miserable. You managed to run away from it, to step away from it. You came to survive, but you got tested for HIV and you got positive for HIV and syphilis. So the devastation is brutal. It's huge because this person destroy you in every way possible. And that's why we make sense, right? That's when we make sense because then we give you everything, the attorney, the doctor, the medicine, the counselor, everything for you to heal and get back on your feet. But this is the reality, right? And we need to think as communities how one thing is attached to the other one. And that's what I always say is we cannot detach from an accountability as member of this society, as a citizen, as a resident of this city, about what's happening to the other. Because what's happening to you that might look so far away from me, right? Because you're a victim. I say, I'm not a victim. I don't know. But guess what? Sooner or later, your issue is going to touch me. Right? Because that's what happened. That's the world that we live in. That's how society goes. That's why we need to be sensitive enough and responsible enough and accountable enough to understand that what happened to you will affect me and that we need to work together and fixing the community so the community is better for all.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the future of Survivor Pathway?
Well, I'm hoping we continue growing. We open Hialeah. We open in July Homestead. Our next goal is to open Broward, Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville.
Oh, wow.
And continue moving around the state of Florida because what we do is so unique. It's so needed.
It is.
It's so needed. It's so needed. People need places like this.
They do. Do you guys only focus on Florida, or do you guys go around the world?
We go around the world talking,
okay.
Right? Talking, educating, bringing awareness, and I hope we have been in conversations with many other countries. This is such a beautiful and unique project that we've been in conversation with Colombia, Dominican Republic, Bolivia. So that they want to open things like this, like how is that we could do this? Obviously, it's complicated. It's very complex. It takes a lot of work, right? But it's possible.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful being here. Don't stop. I know you probably hit a lot of bumps in your road, but you have us here to support you. Whatever you need, we're here to volunteer, and don't stop.
Thank you.
God
Appreciate
has
it.
brought you to this world for a purpose, and you're doing it.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all those that are watching this beautiful program. Keep on following her. It's
Thank
amazing.
you. Where can
Thank
they
you.
find you?
Social media, you can go to Francesco Duverdi. I guess you're going to
Yeah,
type
we
my
will.
name
We
in there.
will.
And to Survivor's Pathway, I guess you see it over
Yes,
there.
we're gonna tag
Survivor's Pathway, everything is going to be typed in there. Social media is great. You can see it. If you follow us, you will become part of our family, and you will see everything that we do, and you can go to our events
Yes.
and volunteer and support this mission. If you also believe in this mission, if you want to be accountable as we are, and making of Miami-Dade County a very beautiful and great county in the world, we have to work together. And
Yes.
it's the invitation to following us and help us to continue this mission.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you.